welcome back to another episode of the From the Farmyard podcast. Today we are going to be going over chicken myths. We've already done garden myths, and I feel like there's a lot, or what we feel like there's a lot of misconceptions around keeping chickens.
Right. So maybe you just started wanting to get chickens and you've heard all these different rumors. So we're here to bust a couple of them for you and to let you know the facts behind some of these false information type things. God bless you.
Thank you.
So first one is, I think a lot of people hear this. You need a rooster for hens to lay eggs. That's not true. That's not the way that works. No, hens lay eggs on their own. Roosters are just there to protect the flock, to breed the hens for chicks, and that's like their purpose. Their purpose is not for them just to lay eggs. So if you're getting a flock of chickens, you can get just hens. You don't have to get a rooster just because you think, oh, this will help my hens lay eggs, or this will maybe boost their egg laying or whatever. It doesn't really change anything. It just...
Yeah. And if you have too many roosters or you have too few hens with a rooster, then it can actually cause them to stop laying for a little while because they're stressed out.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a big thing. So making sure that everything is happy and healthy, obviously, is a big contributor to egg production. But you don't need a rooster, like we said.
Right.
But if you are having like problems with predators and things like that, then a rooster is there not to get rid of the problem, but if anything were to attack, he would probably, or they are the first ones to offer themselves up to protect the hens. They'll make the call, the hens will start going to the coop, and then he will protect the flock by attacking them.
Right.
And then if it does get to the other point, if it gets to the point where they're at, where let's say like the rooster is killed, then like the more dominant hen will go out and actually fight whatever it is that's out there. So it's, like we said before, it's a pyramid. It just works down. But yeah.
Right. So basically, no, you don't need a rooster for your hens to lay eggs. You can get a flock of hens and it'll be perfectly fine. They'll still do what you need them to do. But if you want a protector, if you want to hatch out your own chickens from your flock, that's where a rooster comes into play.
Yeah.
But the next one is hens lay eggs every single day, every day of the year, like till they die. And no, that's not true either. Hens take a lot of breaks in between. Some days, like, they could probably go a week and then they need a break. Like, sometimes hens just need a break once in a while. Their body, think about it, their body is going through that process every single day. That's a lot of work. So sometimes the hens just need a minute. They need a break. But there's also a time of year, and we've talked about this before. There's a time of year, it's in the fall or winter. Sometimes it can be in the spring too, but mainly the fall and winter. But like they'll take a big break, and that's called molting season. That's when the light in the sky starts to change. It gets darker sooner, so that messes up their cycle. But then they're also putting a lot of energy and effort into growing out new feathers. So all that put into the feathers means they have less energy to crank out eggs every single day. So chickens do take breaks, but it is necessary for them to take those breaks. It's not a bad thing. It's healthy.
I think the average, I think, is like anywhere from 3 to 5 eggs a week normally. Now, you will have some hens that will lay every single day for months straight. You will have some that only lay like 1 or 2 eggs a week. So, but the 3 to 5 is an average. And like Reagan said, they do take breaks whenever they feel like it or whenever their bodies just tell them they need to. But also, if they're in a stressful environment, they will stop laying eggs for a period of time too. Like, think if they were out in the wild, then they wouldn't be laying eggs into a stressful environment for them to be raising chicks in that. They would wait until it's a safe environment, lay a clutch of eggs, then hatch them out and do
Mhm.
that. So it's still natural instincts, but they do not lay eggs every single day. You can expect at least 3 to 5 eggs from a hen a week. That's why I like to get things in like twos or threes or more, because like if I have white leghorns, I started out with 2. They were doing good, but then I found that a lot of people prefer only white eggs, so then I got more just so I'm able to meet that in a sooner amount of time than later. So if you want to see more dark eggs, get a few dark layers instead of, just account for that. I don't know where that was going, but 3 to 5 eggs a week.
You want to do the next one?
Yes, I can. To get to my notes. The next one is chickens are hard to take care of. That's not true. They're really the easiest thing to take care of. Like
Mhm.
we said before, they're really the beginning animal for a homestead.
Mhm.
They're super simple to take care of as long as, I mean, the necessities that everything needs:
Right.
housing, food, water, and then that's really it. I mean,
Right.
they're fairly simple.
And it gives you the basic understanding of that responsibility of taking care of an animal. Like whenever we first got chickens, it was a little bit daunting for me because I was like, man, I'm going to have to clean up the coop every single day, get the eggs every single day, feed, water, take care of the chickens every single day. No, chickens are really honestly pretty easy to take care of. I mean, you could make it more difficult, but I like to just keep things simple. We clean out the coop every so often. It doesn't have to be cleaned every single day. If that's your cup of tea, then go ahead. But like I do maybe every 2 weeks or every 3 weeks, or it really depends on how much poop is really laying in there. So like chickens can be difficult, but I think it's made more difficult than it needs to be. I think a lot of times chickens are, like you said, a very simple animal to start out with. It's great
Mhm.
for beginning your homestead journey. It definitely taught me a lot of things, and I'm obviously now I want to get the more larger animals like a cow or goats or whatever, because I've reached that standard with chickens where I'm like, yeah, I'm confident I can take care of these. Whatever happens, I know that I'm prepared for it. And so starting out with small animals and then upgrading over time, it'll really teach you that responsibility, how much time those animals need, how they need to be taken care of, and then from there you can learn to take care of the other more larger animals. So chickens, I think it's made a little bit more difficult than it needs to be. I think people
Yeah.
say like, "Oh, chickens are so hard to take care of." That's like worries the beginning chicken owner. Like, no.
Yeah.
Chickens really aren't that hard. They're fun animals to be around to have. Um but they're really pretty simple to take care of.
Or it's people trying to, like, if you want like a spotless coop, things like that, I'm going to break it to you most of the time that it's not what happens.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the time, there's going to be poop on the walls from
Yeah, it's a
the
good
pooping.
thought. It's a good
And,
thought at first.
and
But
if you want it completely clean, that's going to be more work on you. Know that. But they aren't that messy, but it also depends on, are they free ranging? Are they spending all their
mm-hmm.
time in the coop? Or is it raining for a week straight? So you might have to clean more often. And I know you clean more often when it's been raining for a long time,
Yep.
things like that. Just things build up.
Right.
But they
It
are,
depends on the scenario, how you're taking care of them. Like if you let a coop go for a month, yeah, it's going to be a big clean out, but you're also not cleaning it out as often. If you're cleaning out every day, yeah, your coop's going to be cleaner. Sure, your coop's going to be very clean. It's going to smell better than what it could after a month, but you're also putting a lot of work and effort into that. So it really depends on how you want to do it. Do you want it to be perfectly spotless and clean, or do you want it to be the way that it is? Chicken's crap, okay? It's the way that it is. You got to clean it up as often, like you got to clean it up at a certain time. So like I said, I think it's made more difficult, but it's the way how you want to take care of them. If you want it to be difficult, go ahead. But I think they're pretty simple to take care of.
I agree with that.
So the next one is brown eggs are healthier for you. I think when people see brown eggs, they think farm fresh. When you get a white egg, it's from the store. It's just where it's from. Like when you see a white egg, it's like, man, I just bought this from Walmart, right? Like I just got this off the shelf. I just, but when you get brown eggs or blue eggs or green eggs, like those are farm fresh. There really is no difference between a white egg and a brown egg. It just depends on how it's raised. The
Yeah.
color of the egg doesn't matter. Like, oh, I'm getting this brown egg from the same place I'm getting the white egg. Let's say you go to a farm and they have white eggs and brown eggs. If you're buying brown eggs, those white eggs are not any less beneficial to you or any less healthy than the brown eggs because they're being raised the same. So if you're buying white eggs from the store, most likely those eggs are not the same. No, I'm just not. There is no most likely. They're not raised the same as they are on a farm, like my farm. But if somebody buys colored eggs from my farm, brown eggs, because I raise them differently, I raise them free range, they're grass fed. I know what I'm feeding them, which is organically, and I know where their food is coming from. I know how they're being raised. I know it's going into that egg. I know that the brown egg is healthier for them. Now I also have white egg layers. And when I get the white eggs, I'm like, this is the same stuff I'm putting into my brown egg layers. So it doesn't matter. It really depends on what you're feeding them, how you're raising them, and where they're coming from. Honestly, that's what really depicts a healthy egg. It's not color. It really is not like color.
Yeah. Color has nothing to do with it at all. I have people in my family who won't eat green eggs. Like my great grandmother, she won't eat green or blue eggs. I don't blame her for not doing that. She said she's old and that it's not what they were raised with. And I was like, that's fine. Everyone has their preferences, but there is no difference. They're the same
Yeah.
nutritionally, they're the same taste
Because
wise.
you're raising them all the same way.
Yeah.
They're all coming from the same place and being raised the same way. So
Yeah.
if you
And
want
then
brown eggs, then get brown egg layers. If you want blue eggs, get blue egg layers. If you want white eggs, get white egg layers. You have a choice. You can get whatever chickens you want, but
yes.
it's all depicted on how you raise them and what you're feeding them. That's what really makes the egg healthier for you.
Yes. And we did touch on like the nutrition part of it. And the taste is a big thing. I was with my grandpa last Thanksgiving and he had made eggs. Same way he'd always made eggs. I'd always loved them before and they were still fine. I had eaten my eggs, the eggs that I had raised for a year and a half, almost 2 years, and it was and I'd been eating those, and the other eggs that tasted so like not they were. I'm gonna be honest, they were bad. They weren't inedible, but they were not what
Right.
I to like. So it does depend, and that is from them not eating the things they need. It's from an incomplete diet. Um,
Yeah, because where did
without
those
light.
eggs come from?
Yeah, artificial light most likely. So they're
Right.
pushing the eggs as frequently as possible in controlled environments. So they're reducing molt times or reducing a molt at all. And yeah, so
So it's all depicted on how you raise them, what you're putting into the birds. That's what makes the egg healthy.
yes.
But the next one is 1 nest box per hen. If I did that, I've got like 20 birds. If I did a nest box per
Would be
hen,
nesting boxes. They would just
exactly.
be nesting boxes.
You just have this mansion and it would be just all nesting boxes. But no, that's not necessary. If you have chickens, you already know this. Chickens will choose 1 nest box no matter how many you give them. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. They're going to pick a favorite and they're going to just crowd in there and sit on top of each other just so they can lay their egg in that nest box. So I have 16 chickens in my coop. And for those 16 chickens, I do 4 nest boxes. And out of those 4, they only choose 2. They will not choose the other 2. They only choose the 2. And that's just the way it is. Now, not all 16 of them lay, so if we really want to be mathematically correct, probably 9 of those birds, I give them 4 nest boxes. But if they had a choice, they have 4 options. And they don't care. They pick the 2. It doesn't matter what you do. So you need to have enough space for your birds. It really depends on how many chickens you have. But like I said, they're gonna pick 1 or 2 nest boxes constantly, and it's gonna be their favorites.
Yes. I have I don't know how many I have exactly. I have around 30. I'm not sure if it's larger or smaller than that. Pretty sure it's larger though. But I have 2 nesting boxes for them, and that's plenty. They all lay inside of it. I do have half of a dog house because it was one of those that you could like take apart, and I have that down on the ground for my ducks. But I found that some of my chickens prefer laying in that over the nesting box. So there's 3 spaces they can lay in, and really the 2 nesting boxes are fine. I've seen 3 hens squeeze into 1 of my nesting boxes.
It's impressive. It's
It
impressive.
really is. You do not know how many birds are in there. I thought it was only 1, and then I'm looking underneath, and there's like 4 or 5.
There's
a
head, then there's another head, and there's another foot, and it's like, man, how many is in here?
But they do it. They just fine. They lay their egg, they get out, and another one takes their place. I mean, if they're laying on the ground, that's when I would say, let's add another nesting box. Or if they're laying in a weird place, get another nesting box.
Right.
But all of mine are fine. So with my 30, I have 2 that get like 15 eggs a day in each one, and then some underneath the thing with the duck eggs.
So depending upon how big your flock is, you can make that call how many nest boxes you think you need. But honestly, they're just going to pick like 1 or 2 anyway. Yeah. It's just the way that it is.
I would say you don't need any more than 4. Maybe even with a larger flock. Now, if you have like hundreds of birds, reconsider the nesting box thing. But if you have, I would say anywhere probably up to like 100 birds, you really only need 4 nesting boxes. They aren't going to use every single nesting box. They aren't going to be laying every single day. We've already gone over that. So they're going to be cycling out. There's going to be different ones in there all the time. Now, you might have a hen that would prefer laying somewhere else or in a nesting box alone by herself, and that's fine. So just it would be better if you added more nesting boxes in the beginning, and then if you find that they're not using but like 2 or 3, take them out. You can add another roosting bar. You can do things like that. But by no means do you need to have 1 nesting box for every bird.
Yep. You want to do the last one?
Yes. I know what it is, but I'm still checking. The last one is the chickens are not friendly. Now, this is applying to hens and roosters. Mainly roosters, because roosters get the bad rap around here where it's like all roosters are bad and people are kind of like set in that. They're not. Yeah, most of the things that you see are bad roosters because those are funny videos when people are getting chased by the rooster, and it's just hilarious.
It's hilarious till it's you.
I've been chased by a rooster. It's not fun, but
I've been spurred at. It's not cool.
It's not.
But some roosters are mean. Some roosters just genuinely are mean. I've had a couple different mean roosters, but then I've had a couple nice ones as well.
Yes. All of mine, well, I've had 3, 4, upwards of 6, and I've had 2. I've only really had 1 rooster that was kind of that was aggressive in any sort of way. The other one, I had 1 that was like really skittish, but that was the breed temperament. I knew that going into it, and he also didn't get a lot of attention when he was younger because I didn't know if it was a hen or a rooster, and it was a large group. But for the most part, as long as you are with them when they're younger, they're friendlier. That applies to all birds. They're friendlier if you were with them when you're younger. If they associate you with food and they associate you with protection, then all of them are going to be friendly. Now, if you have 1 incident with a rooster where maybe you are bringing somebody to your farm that the rooster has never seen. If he attacks somebody because of that, don't hold that against him.
Yeah.
he's doing his job,
Yeah.
protecting his flock. If he's never
Hmm.
seen you before, chances are you're going to get attacked. That's how it is. Or if
He
he
didn't
sees you,
accept you into the flock.
exactly. And if he sees you being aggressive to one of his hens,
Hmm.
you're going to get
So
attacked.
that's why it's kind of I have younger cousins, and when my cousins come up, they chase around the hens thinking it's funny. They want to catch the chickens, they chase them around thinking it's funny. Well, the rooster doesn't think that's too funny. And so because the kids are little, now if it was like a grown man, I feel like he'd have a harder time wanting to attack it. He wouldn't want to necessarily, but because they're smaller and more his size, I've had roosters go after my cousins before, and I'm like, yeah, just be careful around him. He's a little bit spicy. So
And if you're running around and picking up your birds and they're okay with that, it's because they're used to you. They know who you
yeah,
are. But like you said, I mean, you can probably go out there, chase any
yeah,
of them, come up, and
I
they're
could.
fine. But it's because they don't know who that is.
I've
And
asserted that dominance, and I am the leader of my flock. The rooster's under me. It's just the way that it is. I am the leader.
and it's a mutual respect, really. It's as long as you respect him
Right.
and you know that that's what his job is for, he's gonna be okay with you. And if you're going out there being rude,
I don't
aggressive,
kick him around. I don't.
exactly.
I won't abuse him just because he's a rooster. I don't. Mm-mm.
And I mean, if he attacks you, I'm not saying don't do anything, but I'm also saying that he's probably doing that out of a place of protection or maybe fear that something could happen.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe extra treats would be bad, not encouraging it, but getting him like reestablishing that bond a little bit more, just saying, hey, it's fine, we're good. So yeah, chickens can be friendly. It's depending on how you raise them and how they're bred ultimately, because temperament is something passed down through generations. So if you have anything that's aggressive, most time people don't keep it around. It goes fairly quick,
Mm-hmm.
but it's
But
all how you raise.
right, it is how you raise it, because I've a lot of times, just because I'm that way, I get chicks and all I do is just hold them and snuggle them, but that's me establishing that dominance early on. I'm showing them like, hey, I'm friendly, I'm nice. And then I give them treats when they're older and they're like, "Oh, you're the treat giver. I know you." And then they learn to love me even more.
Yes.
So, I'm also the gate opener. That's extra brownie points for that. But it's asserting that dominance, but also spending time with your flock. If you want nice birds, if you want friendly birds, there are breeds that just have those genetics more so, where they are more tame and they are more gentle. But I think all chickens can be nice. You just need to be friendly with them, and you need to spend that time with them early on, and then
Yep.
they'll know, like, hey, like, this
Mhm.
person's a part of the flock. She's
And
one of us.
exactly. And if you look at it like this, you're either going to spend time or you're going to spend money. The money
Hmm.
portion of that is buying from a good, reputable breeder that has evened out her flock and really their temperaments, all of them are nice.
Hmm.
Or you can spend the time, and that's sitting down with them every single day, whether you
Right.
want to or not, and giving them treats, just spending time around them, talking at different tones, not
Hmm.
screaming and yelling, but like talking normally. Maybe you bring a speaker out there and you listen to music, getting them used to that sort of thing.
Right.
And it's really just about those two aspects, is whether you want to spend money or time. But even if you're spending money, you're still going to want to spend time, because your birds aren't necessarily going to be friendly if you're just spending the money. So you still need to spend some time on them.
Right. I think all chickens can be friendly. It's you making the time and the effort to make them that way.
Absolutely.
But I think that's everything for today's episode. We hope that this helped you and educated you. If you are interested in getting chicks, this year, um,
Yes.
that it's not all that bad. Chicken keeping is really fun. There's a couple things, it's a little bit daunting at first, but once you get into it, it's really it's a lot of fun, and it's definitely something that I recommend to a lot of people.
Mhm. And we've always said do your own research, whether you ask us questions. Well, not really. Well, it's do your own research, but also just ask a ton of questions.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing wrong with asking questions. You can ask them if you want to ask us questions. You can ask here or on Instagram or wherever. Or if you have any idea, or if you have any topics that you want to see brought to the podcast,
yeah,
you can message us or you can leave them in the comments. And we're trying to. Up till now, it's been really what we want to talk about, what we feel like would
right. Help
more
you.
people would watch. Exactly, more educational for everybody. But if you have any specific topic that you want to be brought to the podcast,
that you want to learn about,
us.
you want to be educated. Yeah.
Yeah,
We'll
tag
do a
us. You
video.
can leave comments in there, and we will be more than happy to do those videos.
Exactly. So I think that's everything. Do you want to close this out?
Yes. Thank you guys for watching, and we hope you have an amazing week. Well, weekend/week, and we will see you in the next one.
See you guys in the next episode. Bye.